Hello, everyone. It's another edition of Wisdom Walks, and today I'm using our beautiful river property as inspiration for our theme today. Our theme's going to be all about flow, and what perfect location to do that on the river. So stay tuned. We're going to be diving in. How can we create more flow in our lives? I want more. I hope you do too. Hello. So we're talking about flow. I was inspired by this beautiful river behind me because we recently listed this property for sale. I have the vision of somebody who wants to become a steward of this beautiful land, a sacred land, and share it with the world. Oh, there goes a frog. And so that's what I'm dreaming up, is somebody who wants to make this their sanctuary, and potentially a sanctuary that they can share with other people. The river is so sacred, and sometimes we have opportunities to go with the flow on this land with the river. We have lots of beavers on this property, and those beavers love to build dams and create their own oasis. And so sometimes what happens is we end up with some floods. And so we listed our property, and then we hadn't been out here for a little while, and it flooded. And so some of the trails were underwater. And so, of course, this didn't bode well for some of the showings that we had on the property. And so we had to come out and do our best to move some of the beavers downstream. And so we have this wonderful willowed area with some beautiful water for the beavers, and so we just try and keep them downstream a little bit from us so that we can continue to use the space for all the goodness. But of course, that brought up this question for me of flow. Am I in flow? And of course, some frustration came up over these beavers getting in the way of what we think our property should be like and look like. And so I really had to come into this place of contemplation around whether or not I was showing up in a place of flow. And I'm going to actually take a seat here on this bridge. I'm feeling called to, and talk about this idea of flow, because I think sometimes we get kind of caught up in feeling like, oh, if things aren't going perfect, then that means I'm not in flow. And I know for myself, sometimes things aren't going perfect, but yet I still feel some ease, even though things aren't quite turning out the way that I think they should or thought they should. So I wanted to share with you a little bit of an acronym. You guys know I love my acronyms. And so I wanted to create this opportunity for us to really lean into more flow in our lives and what that actually means for us, because I think it's easy to knock ourselves out of flow if there's an obstacle that gets in the way and we think, oh no, I must not be in flow. There's this thing that's in my way, making it difficult for me. So then it's not easy. And then I'm out of flow. And am I out of alignment? And sometimes maybe we are. Sometimes that's an indicator if we're feeling that, or that we get those breaks or we see that obstacle. Sometimes it is a redirection or realignment, but not always. And so how do we allow ourselves to flow through, around, over, under that obstacle? You know, it's understanding that obstacle is supposed to be there, right? And whether it's there for redirection or whether it's there for the opportunity for us to learn more flow, that obstacle is there. Whether it's a beaver dam, whether it's a stone in the river, there's an opportunity. That obstacle is supposed to be there for, whatever reason that might be. And it's that opportunity in that. So my flow acronym is all about how can we come to this place of more harmony, more flow in our lives. And the number one piece is to forego our expectation of the outcome. So the F in flow, here's the acronym, the F in flow, F in flow stands for forego the expectation, meaning we've got to be willing to let go of the expectation or attachment to the outcome and attachment to people, places, things, and outcomes, all of it. When we stay hooked into needing things to look a certain way, that creates some suffering for us, right? There's a discrepancy then between what we thought was supposed to happen and what actually happened. And that discrepancy actually is what causes our suffering, because there's disappointment, there's sadness, there's the difficulty of, not having what you thought you should have had or what it was supposed to look like. And so this foregoing the expectation means I'm no longer attached to the outcome, the person, place, or things. Rather, I am allowing myself to have an intention about what I would love that to look like, but knowing that God is the best logistics coordinator ever. And so when I'm not attached to the outcome and I'm trusting that God is coordinating on my behalf all the time, it allows me this great sense of peace in my heart. But more than that, it allows me to move through life without creating that jarring edge of disappointment or suffering that would come with my attachment to an expectation. So the F in flow is forego expectation of the outcome, person, place, thing, and otherwise. The L, and there's a book, love this book by Byron Katie, Loving What Is. So the L in flow is loving what is. So not only am I not attached to the outcome, but now I'm actually going to love whatever the heck it is that happened. Even if I don't love what happened, even if it is not part of what I thought the plan should be. And so loving what is taking that to the next step. Now I'm not attached to the outcome and I'm actually loving whatever the heck it is that shows up, even if it creates discomfort, even if it's not what I thought it should be. And loving what is a hard one. It's a practice and it takes work, and there's other stages to that. But leaning into loving what is one of the best things that you can do for yourself in allowing yourself to be more in flow, right? Okay, I'm accepting what it is that happened now. Okay, I'm not only not attached, but I'm also accepting whatever it is that did show up. In that, what happens is it creates opportunity. So the O in flow is opening yourself up to the opportunity that obstacle presents. So whatever it is that came in the way of what you perceived your flow to be, the flow state of like feeling like everything's showing up with ease and I get the obstacle. Well, now that obstacle again, rather than seeing it as a bad thing, see it as that opportunity. So being open to that, being the opportunity for you to grow, for you to learn, for you to get something out of the experience. And so that open to the opportunity is also that receiving energy of like, okay, here comes the wisdom, here comes the value, right? And that allows us to actually come into more love and appreciation for that experience too, right? So being open to the opportunity allows us to lean into more of that love, loving what is, appreciating what is. And then we have our W. Our W is allowing ourselves to be the witness. And sometimes being the witness actually comes first in the flow state, but also knowing that this opportunity of us witnessing this movement in how we handled the obstacle, witnessing our response, right? Witnessing the ability to move over, under, around the obstacle, not allowing it to cause us such a jarring, disappointing, frustrating space. So it's this wonderful, wonderful way that we can allow ourselves to recognize that being in flow, it's not about not having the stuff in the way. Those obstacles, those beaver dams, they're going to be in the way. They're supposed to be. Our job is to take what we're supposed to out of that experience, whether it is a redirection or whether it is simply that opportunity to show us something, to give us an additional opportunity for growth, for learning, for something even better. And allowing ourselves to witness this ebb and this flow, knowing that it is completely natural, it's part of the deal. But rather taking away from that aspect of judgment about what it needs to be and whether or not you are in flow. How you respond to the outcomes, the experiences, is an indicator of whether or not you're in flow, not necessarily the blocks and the obstacles. Hopefully that resonated for you. Hopefully that will help you to be more in the flow state, to accept yourself and to witness yourself being in the flow state. So there's my flow acronym for you. You got it. Forego expectations. Love what is. Be open to all possibilities, and be the witness in your experience here. That's what it's all about, folks. And when we can allow ourselves to witness how we move through this world, it gives us so much power, so much leverage, and it teaches us as we go and as we grow. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope that you're having a fantastic summer wherever you might be in the world. And until next time, I wish you flow in your life. Bye for now.